Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. So I didn't know if I was gonna be able to record this week. I was hoping I could, but I found some time. So we're gonna sit down and we're going to get into another video. So today is going to be kind of a continuation of last video. I don't really know if I'm gonna continue this after this, only because I don't really have a whole lot of other thoughts on stuff like this, but we'll see. We're gonna maybe take a break for a bit and then come back. I don't know. We'll see where the inspiration takes me. That's what I'm going for. Something that's inspired and different and things we don't talk about. Things that you don't hear much and things that are interesting. At least to me, they are. So if they are for you, then comment below and let me know what you think. And if you have anything you would like to hear about, let me know. Make sure you comment on my video and give me an idea of what things you'd like to hear about. What questions do you have? What things do you want to explore? I'd be happy to do that. So, with that being said, so last week you guys saw movies that I only watched once. This week it's kind of the same thing, but a little bit different. Because these movies weren't because they were, not that last week's movies were bad, but they were rough. They were difficult to handle. I might watch them again. But probably not. These I won't watch again because they made me want my life back. They made me want the over 2 hours that I spent investing in a story. I wanted them back. I wanted to go back in time and just erase it from my mind because it was that bad. Like, that's the difference. Last week we were talking about movies that they weren't bad. They weren't things that maybe necessarily anybody would say, oh, well, maybe even some people loved those movies. These movies, I don't know how anybody else feels about these, but from what I hear, I think we can pretty much agree. So let's get into it. The last movie, stay tuned because I have a lot to say. As always, if you are not subscribed, subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe. Turn on post notifications because, like I said, sometimes I take a break in between. It just depends on how I'm feeling, like what is inspiring me, what things do I have to talk about. I also do different reviews, so sometimes it won't be for a while. Just stay tuned because I really do want to keep the content coming. And again, comment below because that gives me content. Give me ideas. What do you guys like to hear? What should we talk about? I have some ideas kind of here and there, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. But let's get into it. Okay, so first movie. I watched this movie right after I graduated high school, 2010. It had come out on the movie channels after a short stint in the theaters, I think. I didn't really pay attention, but I think it was the summer of 2010 that I saw this movie. So it was the year after I graduated, and the movie, let's just get into it. The movie was entitled Country Strong, and it was starring the beautiful Gwyneth Paltrow. Love her. Love her. She is lovely. You know, I don't think I could live in such regimen, is that the right word, as she does. I've seen her like morning routine. I'm like, girl, that's awesome, but like how I don't get it. She gets up so early and then she drinks like so much water in the morning. And then like it's exhausting watching Good for you, girl. Good for you. I don't do that. Unfortunately, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm doing better. I'm doing better. But no, seriously, in all seriousness, love her. She's beautiful. Her mom, incidentally, I love her so much. Her mom, Blythe Danner, if you had not seen her, she was in Meet the Parents. Hilarious. I love her character. And then also she was in the movie The Lucky One. She played like the grandmother. Love that movie. I think I've talked about it here and there, but anyway. Maybe, oh my gosh, brainstorm. Maybe I should talk about movies that I will watch constantly. Do you guys want to see that? That would be so cool. Like movies that I will watch over and over. Let's do that. Let's do the flip side. Yes. Okay, focusing in. We're writing it in. Um, Also starring Garrett Hedlund, I think is how you say his name. If you don't know who that is, he was in Tron Legacy. He played Son of Flynn. So pretty cool. Anyway, I went into this movie not knowing what was going on. I had no idea. I had not read anything about it because if you are familiar with the time period, iPhones were very limited. They were coming out, but not many people had them. I did not. I think I still had my flip razor, my pink razor, which I was so proud of that phone. I saved my money to buy that specific phone because I was like, I have to have that phone. So I'm pretty sure I still had it at that point. But regardless, whichever phone I had, I didn't have internet on my phone. So, like we're now, when we are gonna watch a movie, a lot of times we IMDb, and what is it about? Tell me what it's about. Tell me who's in it. What were they in before? Do I know the actors? That kind of thing. At least I do. I'm a big movie buff, so I know I do. But anyway, I had no, like, unless I was physically on my computer at home in the living room, like, just looking through Google, which I only did, like, in these moments after I'd seen the movie, so it didn't have anything to do, it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, so by the trailers that I saw were the only, like, that was the only story that I got. So I got, ooh, a cool country music movie. Sounds good. Gwyneth Paltrow. Love her. Great job. Cool. We're gonna watch this movie. So I sat down on one of my days off, and was like, I'm just gonna relax this afternoon. I'm gonna watch a movie. So I'm gonna save you the over 2 hours because it's like 2 hours and some minutes. I'm gonna save you that. Here's what happens. Gwyneth Paltrow plays a country music superstar, a la Miranda Lambert, if you will. That's the vibe we're getting. Very popular, very well known. We get the point. Everyone loves her. Something is different though, because there is somebody out there who says they know something about her. Things like, I know what you did, and things like that. Like, we're getting that vibe. Again, I only saw it once, so I don't really remember the whole thing, but I remember the points. We find out that something has happened to her. She has gone through a very, very tough situation. I'm not going to, for trigger warnings, for trigger purposes, I'm just going to say it was a rough situation involving her relationship, her family, a family issue. When this comes out, she, I believe, if I remember correctly, is connecting up with this other country music artist. I think that's what's happening. They either were married before, or she divorced the other person. One of the two. I seem to remember they were married before. I don't know. That's how, like, that part of the story didn't seem to matter. Her story matters. Which I guess is the point of the... Anyway. We get a full recap in the middle of the movie, first of all, which... Side note, don't you guys hate when a movie takes that long to tell you what's going on? You're sitting there for like a full hour and a half going, what is going on? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's it? That's what happened? And you're either like completely dumbfounded, which is cool, I like that, or you're like, that's it? They could have said that way earlier. This is what that felt like. Like, why didn't you just say that right away? Or why didn't you just let the audience know first? And then you start to see, instead of having all this weird buildup. Anyway, the situation gets taken care of. She writes a whole new beautiful song, sings it, and just wows the crowd. Goes back to her trailer. And again, for trigger purposes, I'm saying it carefully. Herself. That is the end of the movie. There is no anything else. We are at the gravesite. Fade to black. Sorry if there's extra background noise. My window is open. It's very beautiful out today. Yeah, we fade to black. Sadness. Everything is bleak. Just bleak. Yeah, that's it. With her song just bellowing in the background for the credits to roll. So yeah. Move on with your life after that one. I talked about this last week. I have such a hard time when a movie is so raw and real that you feel like you're in that. Sometimes it just is way too much. And it's funny because there are other movies that have this sort of theme that I love, and they're so well written, they're so well acted, they're so well done, that I've watched them multiple times. But it's just, there's just a difference. There's a difference. There's such a... It just did not feel right. And I remember my sister, she's 10 years older than me, so she, had her kids and was not going to see movies, obviously. And so she had texted me and was like, hey, did you know that there's a movie? And I was like, yes, don't waste the 2 hours. And so I told her all about it, and she was like, oh. I was like, yeah, no. That's it, the end. And, so yeah, but definitely not worth watching. I just told you everything about the story, so I saved it for you. You're welcome. I got you. If you ever see it streaming, don't bother. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. No. I just remember this. So, Gwyneth Paltrow was also in 2 other movies that were critically bashed, at least from what I remember. The first one was pretty early on in her career. The movie was called Hush, and it was with Jessica Lange, and I will recommend that movie before I recommend this movie. And then also, she was in another movie called A View from the Top, with like Mike Myers was in the movie and stuff. So random. I would recommend that movie before I recommend this one. Like that's if that tells you something, yeah. This one may take a while, so I hope you're sad, as they say. Next one is more recent from 2019, and more recent for me. I just recently watched this maybe a month or two ago. The movie is called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and it is about one of, in my opinions, one of the greatest men to ever live, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Fred Rogers. We love him. If you are my age or older, then you know. If you are younger than me, you don't know. You think you know, but you don't know. To be in a world with Fred Rogers living was better. That's all I can say. So this movie is also pretty, like, I guess it kind of is darkened by some more recent facts, but stuff that we kind of already knew. But it's starring Tom Hanks. I'm really sorry. I had to adjust because there's a lot to say about this. See, there was a time when I would have been so excited, and I was so excited. There's a movie that he's in that I literally have watched since I was a little girl over and over and over again, and it's not the one that you think. I will get into that. I am going to do a video next time about movies that I will watch over and over again. We're going to get into it, but let's continue with this. But this, no, 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 not for me. First of all, first 2 minutes, waterworks, just of nostalgia and remembering that sequence, that opening sequence. If you are not familiar with the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood show, he comes in singing a song and putting on a nice little sweater and putting on a pair of house shoes and sitting and talking, right? So sweet, just so sweet and so gentle, and it's just, I'll get into it. But then we go into, apparently he knew this other guy who had nothing to do with the show. He was a reporter who wanted to do an interview on him to prove that he wasn't a good person. When did the what? I don't know. But apparently that's what we're following in this story. We see this man's story. So we don't really see Fred Rogers' story. We see this other man's story that has nothing to do with where did Fred Rogers come from. I want to know more about his story. I learned more in the documentary that PBS did on him, like 3 years before that, than I learned in the almost 3 hours that I spent watching this movie. That's not fair. And while I think that Tom Hanks did his level best to bring the persona of Fred Rogers, he did not do it right. I'm sorry. This is just my raw, unfiltered opinion, so I guess I can't say much about that, but anyway. It made me more mad, going back to it, that, like, I don't really, sorry, care about some other random dude's story. I did like how they intersected. Like, he was going in to prove that Fred Rogers was not a good person, that he really was just faking it, and came out realizing, like, he's a full-on therapist. The dude should have been certified, because he just had that way with people. And watching the documentary. I knew that, but I just wish that they would have made it more about, I don't know. They wasted a lot of time with him being like, I'm gonna prove it, I'm gonna prove it, I'm gonna prove it. And like, we get the point. Like, you could have just done one scene where it was like, I'm gonna prove that he's a bad person. End of line. Go meet him, and then maybe he tells you his story. But no, we had to drag out the other part of the story, which it just, I don't know. It just seemed like it wasn't, it just didn't really feel right. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. And I know a lot of people enjoyed it, and I know a lot of people who went to the theater to see it, and they were all touched quite deeply. And like I said, that first opening sequence was very touching, and I did, and the closing sequence, I had totally forgotten how much that show really like raised me. How much I really did, like, it really was ingrained in me. And it's funny because I already kind of had that, when I, um, for the better part of like 2-3 years, I babysat for a family in the mornings, and sometimes on into the evenings. I would babysit for this little toddler, and he loved Daniel Tiger, and Daniel Tiger is obviously part of Mr. Rogers' fantasy world, and they created a cartoon based on it, and it's actually really cute. I have nieces and nephews, so they watch it too, and it's really cute, really, really well done. And the first time I ever saw it, they have little ditties that they sing that are from Mr. Rogers. I remember I was singing along and I was crying just out of nostalgia, like, wow, I had forgotten all about this. I had forgotten all about me sitting on the floor eating my scrambled eggs and watching my kid shows in the morning. And I talked about this recently, but it's just such a strange feeling being like, wow. And when you reach your 30s and you go into your 30s and that happens, for me at least, I lose it every time. And this is part of it, like the love and the genuine care that this man was teaching. It hits home. It's very serious, and it's very, the only way I could say it's gentle. Just such a gentle, like, hey, if you're mad, take a second, take some breaths, count to 4, you'll be okay. Even just that, like, me. Or, I know this went wrong, but look for the people who are helping. They can help you. I mean, simple things like that. You're special just the way you are. I like you because you're you. I mean, those are fundamentals that you will not lose. And I just think that he deserves something better, something more real. It didn't feel as real. There were parts that did, and I like that they brought the humanity of, like, he was with this man and he was able to sit and talk to him, and I think that's why people really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that part, like I said, but I just feel like they took so much time in the other stuff that they didn't really emphasize enough. that, you know, it's just not going to be the same when he's gone. And I think they ended it in a way that didn't really make sense because we don't know what it didn't really tell us anything. So I don't know. I just think it wasn't what it could have been, and it wasn't what it should have been. But thankfully, we have the documentary to look back on and to find. You can watch that. I forget what it's called, but you could look it up. Like on YouTube, I'm sure you can find it. PBS put it out, and I remember watching it and just, oh God, it's just a mess the whole time. I was a mess the whole time because there's just something about it. There's something about it. But with that being said, I still ended the movie going, why did I bother? Why did I bother? And so that's why it made me want my like that. Not because of really anything that there wasn't really anything that like the story did wrong. It's just that I feel like the writers could have found a way to. It said it was based on a true story that he actually met somebody like this. So, obviously you don't want to go away from the truth. So if that was the truth, then, hey. But it just seemed a little bit nefarious that they pitched it to us as nostalgic, yeah, Gen X, millennials. They pitched it to us like it would be his story, and it wasn't. And I think that's what kind of threw me off the most, is that I was told that it was going to be his story, but I didn't get that. So I don't know. It kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and I think that's kind of what tainted the experience even more than actually like the content. Even above the fact that, like I said, it was a little drawn out as far as the other man's story. It just kind of. So with that, I'm going to stop talking because I could go another hour and just basically say the same thing. So, thank you so much for joining me, and tune in next week. Bye, guys.